Hey friends, I'm Jamie Maddox, your Wealth Embodiment Mentor. I teach how you are uniquely designed to attract wealth. In this podcast, I talk about body mapping and money. Body mapping is a unique map on your body that gives information, instructions, and direction for you specifically. Each episode, I highlight one area of the body, discuss its features, and more importantly, what that means for you and your money. So welcome. I'm excited to be on this journey together and can't wait to see what your body can teach you about money. Welcome back. And like I promised, this week we are going to be talking about butts. I know, but let's be honest. Other than looking at people's noses, my next favorite body part to look at is people's butts. Don't be weirded out by that. I'm not like a creeper and I won't stare at your butt. But here's the funny thing is that they actually give some really cool information. And when you start to actually look at people and not in a judgment type of way, but as in just an observing and an awareness way, it is fascinating how people's bodies are different. And then when you kind of look at what these different body parts mean, it just gives this beautiful essence to the person because you see them in a different light and you get to see yourself in a different light. Okay, so are you ready? So the lower half of our body is all about progression and the ability to move forward. So our butt is part of that. There's basically three shapes of butts, okay? And I might use bum and butt interchangeably because sometimes butt just sounds really harsh. So we have a bubble butt, okay? And now a lot of us might think of like J-Lo or maybe one of your friends that just has that little bit of a bubble butt, right? These people tend to be really good with letting things bounce off. So whether that's, comments or, and especially negative comments, they just kind of bounce and they let things go. Because of the physiological structure of a bubble butt, it actually helps you to lift yourself up and move forward. So think about it. When you're sitting in a chair and you go to stand up, you engage all of your leg muscles, right? And then when you really focus on it, you engage your butt muscles, and that is actually what helps pull you out of the chair. So that's where this part of the body helps us to lift up and then progress forward and move forward with our legs, okay? So a bubble butt tends to have more muscle, more substance, more everything, right? So for them, they tend to have an easier time lifting themselves up and also lifting others up and feeling safe to be able to do that. The next shape of the butt is lovingly kind of termed like an old man's butt, okay? So it's kind of like where they just don't really have one. Think of like an old person, and a lot of times they don't have a lot of butt there. And so it's kind of flat. They might have just a little bit at the bottom. And think about when a person is older and they maybe have this shape of the butt, a lot of times they will need help getting out of chairs. They will need help standing up. And so that is one of the things with people that maybe don't have as much of a butt. Again, it's not a bad thing, but it's an awareness of saying that maybe you might need a little bit of help to lift yourself up and get yourself progressing and moving forward. And this might actually be that they're actually really good with asking for help and not even in a bad way, because there's people that maybe have the bubble butt that aren't that great for asking for help because they don't necessarily need to ask for help. And so it can be one of the gifts of someone with the quote unquote old man's butt to be able to say, hey, I could use a little bit of support and a little bit of help to lift me up to the next level to get me moving forward. Okay, the next one is a shelf butt. So kind of think about it, and it's a little bit harder where it's only verbal and I'm not able to draw you pictures of these different shapes, but hopefully you can imagine them in your mind. And if not, go start looking at people's butts, but not in a creepy, weird way, okay? But just start noticing, and then you'll see what I'm saying by these different shapes, okay? So, but people that have basically, just like it sounds, like a bit of a shelf at the top, and then it goes down. And whether it goes down into more of like a bubble or less of a butt, but they tend to have a shelf. Because our butts hold a lot of our emotions, and more specifically, a lot of, I don't love the term negative emotions, but harder emotions. We're going to say negative. I don't really love that word because no emotion is negative. It's not bad. I actually love all emotions. And so, but we're going to use that term because that's what people will probably recognize right now. So, these people tend to hold on to more of their negative emotions, and it's kind of like a trophy shelf. So it's showing off to the world what they've been through and saying, "Look at my hurt, heart, and broken, and what I've been through in order to have this." Now, if you are one person that has a shelf butt, you might be like, "Oh my gosh, no, I don't." Okay, this is where you get to very lovingly look at yourself and say, it doesn't mean anything good or bad about me, but am I holding on to things? Are there things that I feel like I have to hold as a trophy to show that I have been through hard things? Because this is not the only place in the body that people do this. So, number one, you're not alone. Like, we all hold on to things. We're all hopefully working towards letting things go that are not helpful for us moving forward, because that's a big thing with the butt. A couple of the questions that you can ask yourself is, what am I holding on to? And the second question, is it worth it to be holding on to? Because we really do have a choice. And really, let's be real here. We have all been through hard things. We have all been through hurtful things. They can look very differently from each other, but my suffering does not take away from your suffering. And there is not a comparison. There doesn't need to be a comparison. And what if there was this place in this world where we could each, with genuine honesty, be able to look at ourselves and validate our own pain, but not stay there and live in that pain, but say, yes, I learned through that, and now I'm going to move forward because I am not defined by that pain. And then we can look at other people and we can say, oh, yes, sweetheart, you have absolutely been through things and been through pain, and maybe I can or cannot relate, but you also don't have to stay there or live in that energy. And let's move forward together. Let's let it go. Let's bring in more of what we want and less of what we don't want. Okay, so in general, butts that are larger, just in general, regardless of their shape, they tend to have an easier time lifting themselves up. Butts that are smaller, they don't hold on to the negative as much, which is awesome, but they're also usually a little bit slower to progress. And kind of like I mentioned, with the old man's butt, there may just need to be a little bit more support to get that progression to be lifted up and to move forward. It's really interesting with body mapping. A lot of our phrases that we just kind of use in general, vernacular, it actually really does go along with body mapping. So it's really fascinating. So, a lot of times we're like, oh, there's such a pain in my butt. That is actually really kind of true. So if you are ever having a literal pain in your butt, okay, that is one of the questions you can ask. Be like, who is being a pain in my butt? Sometimes it might be yourself, just a FYI right there, okay? Sometimes we're our own biggest pains in our butts, which is so fun to recognize, right? And sometimes it is someone else. But again, it's what are we holding on to about that person that is actually creating some physical pain? Because we do hold a lot of our excess in our butts. And so when we can identify it more quickly in the moment and just let ourselves really feel into that pain. So if you are having a physical pain in your butt, I invite you to stop. Think about, okay, who or what is feeling like a pain in my butt? When you get that, don't create a story, just recognize it, and then literally let yourself feel that pain in your butt, which I know sounds so weird and somewhat counterintuitive, but this is like a massive key to deep healing. So there you go. I want you to actually focus on that pain because emotions only take 90 to 120 seconds to fully pass through our body. But because they tend to be really uncomfortable and or a different sensation than we're used to or that we maybe do or don't like, we tend to stop it. Sometimes we stop it within the first 5 seconds, and that's why and what gets stored in our body because we're so afraid to let ourselves feel that emotion and to feel that sensation in our body, when really, if we would just sit with that sensation for 60 to 90 seconds, it would pass through us and we wouldn't even have to hold on to it. It allows us to finish the circle and the cycle of pain and processing and trauma. Now, if you are thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't done that for like any time in my life and I've been holding on to all this stuff, that's okay. Join the club. We've all done it. And that's why you're here, because you're going to learn how to do that through each part of your body and how to do it more lovingly and in a more gentle way with yourself so that it doesn't recreate trauma or put you back into trauma, because that is not the purpose of healing. Okay. The purpose of healing is to find the way to lovingly transform yourself and to lovingly get to a place of it's safe, feeling safe. Laurel Houston, who is the creator of body mapping, that is something that she says a lot, that we're learning to feel safe, feeling safe. And part of that is learning to feel safe, to feel every sensation that happens in our body and every emotion. You're getting a lot of tangents here that I wasn't planning on talking about, but it is all just really feeling like it's part of it. Because here's the thing, it makes it harder to lift ourselves up and move forward when we are holding on to past hurts. Because the backside of our body, just in general, the backside is about our past. So obviously the butt is on your back, right? The thing is that the past can be 1 second ago, 20 minutes ago, 5 days ago, or 20 years ago. But when we focus just on the past and we hold on to things, number one, it can weigh us down physically, mentally, and emotionally, and it can impede our progress, right? Again, with that being said, we obviously all have butts, right? We all need something there, and there are going to be different shapes and sizes. So again, this is not body shaming. This is not any of that, because like I said, part of having a big butt is like you are able to more quickly pull yourself up and move forward and help other people move forward. And you can progress pretty quickly because you've got a lot of muscle there, right? But it's just learning to look at your body and say, okay, what is the information here? Because when I can see myself clearly, I then can make decisions from that place of clarity rather than taking all these shots in the dark and hoping that something works, something lands. It's saying, okay, no, I have this shape of butt or this size of a butt, and now I know what to do with that information. And here's what I'm going to do to move forward. I hope that makes sense, because like I said, butts are fascinating and they are so fun. And the thing is that when we are wanting to move forward in our wealth journey and creating a better, more fulfilling and prosperous life, knowing how to work with our butt is really important. Because here's the thing, if I am sitting here looking at my past, holding on to all these hard things that I've been through, it is going to be that much harder to let myself step forward into the things that I actually want and the things that I'm actually creating. And P.S., I'm talking from experience here, okay? Because when I had that story when I was 14 and I allowed my butt to get bigger, because I did get better at lifting myself up, but part of it is that I do hold on to things a little bit more. And quite frankly, I like my butt. I already mentioned that. Like, I'm not going to change it at this point. With that being said, I have to be very conscious of what I'm allowing myself to hold on to, because it can either hold me back in my past and stall my progression, or it can lift me up and help me to move forward saying, yep, that happened. I've healed, I'm aware, I am loving myself through this, and I still get to move forward and I still get to have my wealthy, beautiful life that is so meant for me. So let me know in the comments if you're willing and feeling brave. I would love to hear what shape of butt you think you have, or anything that really stood out to you, or any questions, or just anything that came up. I really want to hear how all of this is landing with you, because my friends, we are just starting out. We have got the whole rest of our body, and it is only going to get better from here. And if you have a question about how it looks for you personally to move forward with your specific shape or size of butt that I didn't cover in this episode, let me know. Maybe I can do another episode digging and diving a little bit deeper. Or as always, book a body mapping session with me, and we can specifically look at your butt and a lot of other body parts, right? So I will put that link in the comments, and I hope you have a beautiful and fantastic rest of your day. Thanks for listening. Make sure to check back each week for the newest content about your body and your wealth. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends and give it a 5-star review. Make sure to visit healinghopewithjamie.com for new offers, retreats, and ways to embody your wealthy life.